This station is Old Street. Change here for Moorfields Eye Hospital and National Rail Services. This is a Northern Line train.
I spent a lot of my childhood visiting the eye doctors at Moorfields, when the children's hostel was still in the old building on City Road. I'm reminded of going to the Starbucks under that big mansion block at Old Street Station and following the green line on the pavement that led me and my mum to the entrance of the hospital. The ophthalmologist would give me eye drops to dilate my pupils before examining the health of the optic nerve inside my eye. For the rest of my day, my pupils would remain dilated and my vision would be blurry. My mum would take me back to school for the last lesson of the day, and I would show off my big pupils to my entire class. It made me feel somewhat significant. Though I would be partially blind for the day and I could hardly see where I was going, I somehow enjoyed the experience, and I still think fondly of those visits back then. The ophthalmologist diagnosed me with strabismus, a vision disorder in which the eyes do not properly align with each other when looking at an object. This is due to issues with the eye muscles. It can result in loss of depth perception and amblyopia, also known as a lazy eye, which is another sight disorder in which the brain fails to fully process input from one eye and eventually favours the other. More specifically, I have exotropia, where the eyes diverge outward. As a kid, it was only noticeable when I was very tired, daydreaming, or late at night. 9 o'clock, past my bedtime. I was good at controlling it most of the time. My lazy eye never bothered me as a child because it was hardly ever visible. 2020 happened, COVID-19, I turned 19, my lazy eye became permanent. I don't know the reason for this permeance. Perhaps these days I'm just tired all the time. My lazy eye wanders around as if it has a life of its own, separate to mine. My eyes fail me, throw me off balance, leave me disorientated. Sometimes I get it wrong, blending two separate things into one, twisting what I see into something that isn't really there. The eye doctors at Moorfields said that I perceive the world to be flatter than most, because of my lack of depth perception. We all perceive the world to be vividly three-dimensional, but that is after the interpretation of two flat images on our retinas, the light-sensitive layer of tissue at the back of our eye. Primarily, it's our stereopsis and our binocular vision, or the distance between the eyes and the image, that contributes to our depth of perception. When it comes to strabismus and stereoblindness, this combining of the two flat images doesn't result in stereovision or a 3D image because of the increased or decreased distance between the eye and the image. In my own case, I've resulted in ignoring binocular vision and practically solely use monocular vision to perceive depth. It's typically my lazy eye that doesn't get used. I recall a series of tests being done to demonstrate my stereopsis, or lack thereof. They would cover one eye, the lazy eye would dart to look at the image. They would cover the other eye, and then that other pupil would bounce across to look at the image. According to the ophthalmologist, I was brilliant at alternating between my eyes depending on the placement of target objects. But this is no longer true.
So your strabismus is not bad. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to do this. You wouldn't be able to see things in 3D.
Yes.
I wonder if you can.
No, she
I
can't.
can't.
You can't, huh?
Yeah, she
you,
did.
you suppress one eye.
Yeah.
That's right.
Carsten Holler's exhibition Decision at Hayward Gallery in 2015. It was here on the roof of the gallery with my grandma and my sister that we put the upside down goggles on. We now perceived our world to be upside down. In fact, if our eyes and brains didn't work as a collective, this is how we would view the world. As when light enters our eyes, the retina receives the image upside down, as the cornea is curved. It is our brain that then interprets this information and therefore flips the image the right way up. Vision is information processing, and in the case of stereoblindness, the brain and the muscles in the eyes struggle with this symbiotic process of information. I was told as a child that I wouldn't ever be good at sports because of this lack of depth perception, except I've become rather good at frisbee and other things that involve having a good eye. The frisbee stereo test. I remember looking at the images and seeing circles in some of the boxes and nothing in other boxes. The test would deduce how acute my perception of depth was, which was quite terrible. The now extinct 2000s gimmick of 3D movies didn't benefit me.
In your case, you won't see the two red lines through this.
I see just one on the bottom or the top, and I'm swapping between them.
That's right, you alternate.
Yeah,
you alternate. Yes, that's because of strabismus. First you see them both.
Yeah.
And I'm only showing
It's
you
faint
one.
though, the bottom one's faint.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which one do you see now?
The top.
Bottom.
The bottom.
You see? Bottom is faint, yeah?
Yeah.
Because of your weaker eye. Top is brighter.
Yes.
But they're lined up.
Ah.
If you've got strabismus, you alternate.
Right.
Or if you've got just a slight strabismus, one of the lines will be displaced. You still see that, but one will be displaced. Yeah. So yours is well aligned, and similarly this way they're lined up. Yes. You see, I'm showing you just one again. Now the other. Whereas in this,
Seeing comes before words. The child looks and recognises before it can speak. Seeing comes first because it's how we find ourselves in the world. We can try to explain what's around us, wrap it up in words, but words will never erase the fact that we are in it, surrounded. The way we see things and the way we know things, they're always shifting, like light on water. It appears that nothing could be easier than seeing. We just point our eyes where we want them to go and gather in whatever there is to see. Nothing could be less in need of explanation. Though seeing without thinking, without straining, without squinting, without focusing on some minute detail, could be the simplest task that vision can accomplish. Yet seeing is like hunting, and like dreaming, and even like falling in love. We are constantly biased by what we choose to see. Our eyes subconsciously reject information and focus on details we deem to be relevant. for instance a hoarder, they keep a mass amount of material due to an emotional attachment to said material, but in some senses, it is this choice of the what they are hoarding that mirrors this bias, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or is it? My grandma was a hoarder. I remember when I was little and I would get into her bed to watch TV with her, but there wasn't any space to get in her bed with all the hoarded newspapers underneath the duvet. She would keep every newspaper she read and would meticulously cut out images from them, and then hoard those images if she didn't get the chance to use them in a collage. When she died, I too felt I had to preserve these images, and after about 4 years of keeping them in shoeboxes in my flat, I decided to go through them all. I noticed that I was most drawn towards images with people's faces in them. Humans are extremely fast at recognising faces, better than any computer or animal could ever be. Maybe we are just self-obsessed. Seeing the human in the human is also very common, yet few know the word pareidolia that describes this. There is a bit of path I walk past daily in Regent's Park that resembles a crying face, a wooden floorboard in my hallway that looks like a smiling face, and a face that I see on a doorstep near my home by the bus stop on Pratt Street. There's a painting in the National Gallery, The Ambassadors. At one glance, it's a double portrait with a still life of objects, and at another there's a skull. It can only be perceived at a certain angle. I wonder how much more I'd see if I changed my angle, if I let my gaze linger instead of just glancing and moving on.
The next station is Moorgate.
For most, their eyes are like identical twins, mirroring each other without question. Mine are fraternal, like me, and yet when my twin sister and I were children, people still mixed us up. Did we truly resemble each other in ways I couldn't see? Lately, I've become terrible at recognising faces. My sister calls it facial blindness. Maybe she's right. My memory wavers, and in its absence, I lose sight of the world. Seeing is tethered to memory, blindness to forgetfulness. I don't remember what I saw as a baby, and I don't remember what I did yesterday, which means I don't remember seeing it at all. There are gaps in my vision, blind spots multiplying with time. The older I get, the more they grow. I rely on photographs to anchor my memories. Needing to have reality confirmed and experience enhanced by photographs is an aesthetic consumerism to which everyone is now addicted. It would not be wrong to speak of people having a compulsion to photograph, to turn experience itself into a way of seeing. Though written in the 70s, Sontag's words still ring true, maybe even more so now than ever. Especially the notion that if no one else saw it, did it truly happen? To remember is to collect. We assign value to what feels personally significant, turning memory into a kind of hoarding. We stockpile moments, archive glimpses of our existence, as if proof of the past is proof that we were here at all. The Welcome Collection, Euston Road, Sleeping and Dreaming Exhibition, 2008. It was there that I vividly remember watching the 1929 surrealist film Un Chien Andalou by Louis Buñuel and Salvador Dali. It has haunted yet mesmerised me my entire life, particularly this one scene when the man slices the woman's eyeball. Like the woman, the surgeons will cut my eye open if I get the strabismus surgery I could have had when I was a child. The procedure involves making an incision on the eyeball so that the eye muscles can be tightened to align the position of the eyes. They become centred and thus can work together. It doesn't always work though, because the brain and the eyes may never learn to work together even if the muscles are no longer lazy, especially if this is performed later in life. My mum decided against the operation. She thought it'd be better to let me make the decision as an adult. I'm in my mid-20s now and I'm still undecided. You can go blind from it after all.